When I started my first bridal collection that we did, I had saved £15,000 of my money at the time. The earlier you can get started on something, the better. And if that thing can get started when you live at home with your parents, you better start that thing, because more likely than not, that your costs at home will be less than the cost that you have as soon as you leave that house. So for me, if this thing doesn't work or not, I still have somewhere to lay my head at night. For me, I'm just like, this is the time to take all the risk. Business is about humility. You learn every day. You're like, damn, you have to be honest with yourself and know when you need to prove on things. So it's really that constant evolving, that constant evolution of improving. And I say that because it sounds so simple, but it's something that you don't often see in the fashion industry. And that's why you see brands being forgotten, because a new brand comes in and they take over because you chose not to move with the time. So we actually did a raise. At the point of our raise, we were revving about 150k, and then we've been able to 9x that in 3 years. No one wins trying to be the best at everything. Let me be the best at what I'm good at, so that you can be the best at what you're good at, so that as a company we can be the best. I can't wear all hats. I don't try to wear all hats. I'm not trying to be a jack of all trades. I'm trying to be a master of one.
You're not defined by where you come from.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big message that I always want to tell people.
Like you have to be able to be uncomfortable. Like be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
When you grow up in ends, you don't realize it when you're confident, but you have an audacity to do things that ordinarily most people wouldn't be willing to do.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Atto. We have a special guest in the building. We have Gbemi, who's the founder of Alonuko, which is a leading luxury bridal brand, which has generated millions of pounds in revenue. And her wedding dresses and gowns have been worn by high-profile people like Danielle Brooks, Orange is the New Black, if you heard of it. And Alonuko has been featured in Vogue, Bridges, Inside and more. Gbemi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about this.
Yeah,
I'm very excited about this. Yeah. So how's your day been?
It's been good. It's been busy. It's always busy. I had tennis in the morning and then was at the studio and then rushed home quickly to get ready to make my way over here.
So tennis, what happened with that? Why did you decide to get into tennis?
Do you know what? I've always been someone who's kind of like I want to be on my fitness journey, go to the gym, do all of that. But as much as I can go to the gym, I actually don't love being in the gym, mainly because of the smell of the gym. So it's like, I don't like the smell of like circulating sweat. Like basically, obviously, they've got all the air cons and all the extractors to try and get everything out. But I've got a very strong sense of smell and I can smell it. So it bothers me a lot, to the point that it actually affects my workout. Also, it's just a bit boring. Like I didn't find it very enjoyable. I was changing my routines and stuff, but it just wasn't really like doing it for me. Yeah. So I was trying to find activities which allowed me to be active. So I started doing swimming, Pilates and tennis. And I found that I was able to get myself into a rhythm, which I really enjoyed. I started doing paddle actually, but paddle got very popular. And then trying to book a court became like impossible.
Okay.
And then also I didn't feel like there was enough movement in paddle. So then I was like, okay, let's do tennis. I started doing tennis and then realized that I actually don't know how to play tennis properly. So let me learn how to play tennis. So I found a coach and here I am doing tennis.
Wow. That's interesting. You know what you're saying about like gym being boring? You're right. There's not much going on, is there? Like,
some people, like I have friends who they've been going to the gym. Like one of my friends, she started going to the gym when I started going to the gym properly, like 10 years ago. And I got her into the gym, but yeah, she stayed since and I've just been in and out. So I guess it's just more about finding what works for you. And yeah, I can incorporate into my week. Yeah. Like maybe 1 or 2 times a week to do some HIIT or some strength training. But when it comes to like continuous exercise, it's just really, really boring for me. Yeah. So it just wasn't really working. So I needed to find what worked. And
but tennis is exciting.
Tennis is
quite
fun,
cool.
yeah. And there's a lot of lessons when you learn, like the practical and theoretical learning of tennis, I think is really, really interesting for me. And I do one-on-one lessons, so it's very like, it's engaging. My coach is very, very good. And yeah, it's good. It does everything that I need it to do. And in the end, I actually will know how to play I know how to play a bit now. So.
Yeah, so we'll see you in Wimbledon then.
I mean, you can call me Gbemi Williams. Like,
That's true. All right. Obviously, like I introduced you. Who would you say Gbemi is?
This question is so funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a human being before anything. But I guess the world knows me as the founder, designer, CEO of Alonuko, which, as you mentioned, is a luxury fashion brand. And yeah, I mean, outside of that, I am a daughter, a sister, an auntie, many other titles. But, you know, I guess ultimately in the world of business, my aim has always been to build a brand that impacts our audience and continue to grow it as big as we can for it to leave a legacy that supersedes me.
Mm-hmm. See, you didn't struggle with the question.
No, I feel like I just had to make it up for the spot.
Gone are the days where you're paying hefty roaming charges just to connect to the internet whilst you're abroad for holidays or business. Thanks to the innovative eSIM, you can activate a mobile plan to access the internet without the need to purchase and pick up a physical SIM card in the country you're traveling to. One of the best eSIM providers out there is Yesim, which provides affordable and reliable internet plans in more than 200 countries worldwide, including the United States, Turkey, Japan, the UAE, Egypt, and so much more. From my experience using eSIM here in the UK, it was so easy to set up the eSIM in a few minutes and get connected to the internet. Activating my eSIM and getting connected to the internet couldn't be simpler. The steps were very straightforward. First, I had to download the eSIM app, create an account and choose the data package that I wanted. I selected the unlimited data package because as a creator, I'm always on YouTube and Instagram. Once the plan was confirmed, I installed the eSIM to my phone. And just like that, I was able to access the internet without any issues. The internet quality and speed was excellent. Imagine being able to connect to the internet abroad, no matter what location you're in, and the price is really affordable. This creates such a high level of convenience, which means no more paying higher roaming charges or relying on unreliable free Wi-Fi whilst you're traveling. Although I picked the UK package, eSIM also offers regional and global packages to enable you to stay connected to the internet across multiple countries. I've partnered with eSIM and they're giving my community a special offer where you can get a €5 discount on any packages by using my promo code SAVVY5. I've left a link in the description below. Check it out, give it a try, and enjoy great connectivity wherever you are. All right, let's talk about your story, right? Where were your parents from?
Nigeria.
Nigeria, yeah? Cool. And were you born in Nigeria?
No, I was born here in London.
You were born in London. Whereabouts did you kind of grow up mostly?
Peckham.
Peckham,
I mean, I lived in Bermondsey for like 3 years and then I moved to Peckham and I've lived there ever since.
What was it like growing up in Peckham? For people, explain it for the people that don't know Peckham. I mean, I think people that are from London know Peckham. A lot of people know Peckham. But yeah, explain that.
So, do you know what? It's interesting because growing up, even though I grew up in Peckham, my experience of growing up in my household was a bit different to, I guess, what Peckham is known to be and how Peckham is illustrated and spoken about on TV and in the media and stuff. So I always laugh because I say when I growing up, I thought we were rich. Like I genuinely thought that I didn't experience like struggle in areas where, many people did and stuff. I think, and in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, we absolutely were not rich. Like, why did you think you were rich, baby? But I think my parents did a really good job in prioritizing us, their kids, making our upbringing and our household and our relationship with our family one that was rich and didn't make us ever feel like we needed or wanted for anything beyond what we actually had. They prioritize our needs in terms of like making sure like, we went on holiday often and things like that. But then, that might have been in place of, there might have been things that you see other people having, like lots of designer, drip and stuff like that. That wasn't necessarily our story, but we were always blessed to be able to have in a way that we felt like we were abundant. But in the same breath, outside, you're seeing what's happening with people getting killed, gangs, just there being threats when it comes to, not me directly or anything like that, but just being in particular areas in Peckham. And we lived like in Peckham. So I was very privy to all of that. But I think, again, for me, it was just like, okay, I'm not trying to get involved in anything like that. I guess being a woman as well, growing up in Peckham. But I guess it did kind of mean just like when you experience people who are from other areas and you speak about Peckham and then it's like, oh my gosh, like you see that, like, you heard a gunshot, or you saw this, you saw that, and it's like you realize how not normal this is. Like I was raised there, and that's the only place that I had lived. So for me, it's not normal for you to be in secondary school and you're having to like run home to avoid the gangs, or you're having to take particular routes so that you're not, caught up in any of those things. But for us, it was just like, this is what you do to ensure that you stay out of trouble and stay out of harm's way. And then I guess, like when you go to college, you kind of experience like the bigger sense of life, and you realize that, other people do not experience that. They didn't go through that in life. That's not what they saw growing up. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I had quite a adventurous, life. Yeah. When you're a certain age. But, I mean, obviously things are dramatized and stuff on TV, but to be fair, what we hear happens really does happen. Yeah. You just have to find a way to not be involved in it and get yourself out of it, Yeah. So, yeah.
Gosh, yeah. No, Peckham is definitely has, I don't want to say has now, but it had a reputation back in the days for sure for being a certain type of area.
Definitely. But it's interesting because, you get to know people who may have been involved in that kind of life and stuff. And then you just realize how unfortunate it is, because a lot of the things that you see people getting themselves involved with is a result of poverty. It's a result of people not having money, not having access to things. And I'm in no way like excusing it or saying, it's good. This is what they had to do. But it's like a lot of it stems from that. Yeah. Even that, like when you see the gang culture, you see like people getting involved in drugs and things like that. A lot of it actually does stem from them just wanting to be able to buy this or buy that, because maybe where they've been brought up, they haven't been able to get access to these things. And it's like, it starts there, but then unfortunately it kind of grows and manifests itself into something that's a lot more serious and a lot harder to actually control. Yeah. So it's a shame, because, those that do actually make their way out of that life, when they tell their story, you're just like, wow, like, it's crazy. But there's those that don't get to make their way out of that life, and they end up either dead or in jail and stuff. And it's just like, so annoying, because you look at what their upbringing was, what factors might have impacted where they've ended up. And it's like, it's such a shame. It's such a shame, because it's so much deeper than what, the surface level is, so much deeper than the things that we see being depicted in media, in conversations and stuff. But so that's a whole nother story, and something that I guess requires a lot more focus to actually fix. Yeah. But I guess that's the truth of it.
Yeah, it is. So how, for you then, obviously growing up in Peckham, how, like, it sounds like, from what you were saying about your parents, they kind of instilled that. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like them instilling this kind of, I guess, positivity, you not even feeling like you were poor and all that sort of stuff.
So I'm a middle child of 5. Got 2 older sisters, 1 younger sister, 1 younger brother. Yeah. Growing up up until I was about 8, there was 3 of us. So for example, in our house, my parents did a really good job in making sure that we had a very close-knit relationship. Me and my sisters were always really close. This was before my 2 younger ones came along. We were all very close. Like, for example, we had like 4 rooms in our house, but they intentionally made us all sleep in one room to ensure that closeness, so that, you're with your siblings, and kind of, you forced us to be best friends. And it's like, this is what I'm saying. Like, we were none the wiser. When I was younger, I didn't think, why haven't you just allowed us to use the 2 rooms downstairs and have our own rooms? Because they cultivated a relationship that made us want to be with each other all the time. Till now, like, me and my siblings were like literally so close. So that gave us that sense of like love, making us feel like what we had at home was everything. So the things that mattered to me, and the things that were important, the things that I really placed a lot of emphasis and I guess importance on, were things that I found at home. Because it was like, I really enjoyed my relationships at home. So I didn't, as much as I loved making friends and stuff, it was like, I'll be excited to come back home and talk to my sisters and watch TV with my sisters and play with my sisters, etc. My mum, I speak about my mum, I speak about dad separate. My mum, she's like a really, really, really confident woman, like super, super confident, very championing. Like, she's the kind of person that you know, if I used to get in trouble a bit at school, she's the kind of person that she's always going to like have your back regardless. She might come back home and tell you that, yeah, what you did was wrong. But like publicly at home, she's going to champion you. If you feel like, oh, yeah, man, I have this idea, I don't think I can do it, she's going to be like telling you 100 reasons why you can do it and make you feel like you are like absolutely amazing, right? So I was really, really confident growing up. I remember when, this is so random, but I remember one time I went to Nigeria when we were younger, and I got bitten by a lot of mosquitoes. I had a lot of mosquito bites. And then I was like, oh, I've got lots of mosquito bites on my legs and just all over my body. And I was just like, oh, like, I don't like it. Got all these bumps. My legs are not smooth anymore. Da, 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 da. And my mom was like to me, oh, do you know why? Do you know why you got so many mosquito bites? And I was just like, why? And she was like, oh, because basically mosquitoes, they only bite people with the sweetest blood. Like, your blood is really sweet. So that's why they needed to bite you. So I remember going to school and being like, yeah, like, look at my mosquito bites. I've got bare mosquito bites. And my mom said that basically mosquitoes only like sweet blood, so my blood is really sweet. And like, that's just a really, really, really like 1% small example of the way my mum would make things that you could potentially look down on or doubt yourself with and make you like champion that. Yeah. And then my oldest sister, she's very similar to my mum. She would do the same thing. So like anytime like there wasn't very much room for us to like doubt ourselves. Okay. Even when it comes to our weaknesses, it was like, that's your weakness. Okay, find a way to make that your strength. Like work on it to make it your strength, or, you know, just don't bury yourself in this like negative stuff. Yeah. My dad, he's very like honest, very upfront, very abrupt, but he's also very like championing. So for example, when I started my when I wanted to start my fashion business, he had his like reservations about doing it, but then in the same breath, he was the same person that went out to look for my studios for me. And I found a studio over there on Tower Bridge. I found a studio. Let's go and look at it. Let's go and have a look and see if it's something that you can get. So just things like that. It was like, I just remember like growing up, going to work with my dad. My dad's an engineer. So I remember like going in his van with him and going to jobs and like helping him passing the toolbox and stuff like that. Or like helping my mum. She used to make cakes way back and helping her do these things. So we were very involved. And it was a very fun life, very, just even down to things like, we're Nigerian, so typically you would eat like your culture food at home. My mum, I guess my mum and dad, they like to eat, they enjoy food. My mum would like make lots of different cultured food. So on Monday, she might make like Indian food, and then Tuesday, she might make like a roast dinner, and then Wednesday, we might have Nigerian food. Wow. But it was very wholesome, and it was very robust. So it just felt like, I never ever felt like I was without. Yeah. It was like in every single way. Like you couldn't take me out of my house and like shock me or surprise me with something that I haven't experienced. You know what I mean? And when I say this, it's not like, okay, no, we didn't go to Saint-Tropez. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we were, do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like what, I guess the things that the world might describe as a rich person has this, and it might not fall into that category for a lot of people, but for me it was like in all the areas that I felt I needed to be fulfilled, I felt like I received that at home. So I never ever sat down for a moment and felt like, oh, why didn't I have that, or why didn't I get that? So that's where, when I say I felt like I was rich, that's where it comes from. I genuinely felt like everything that I felt like I could need or want, I had. And then I guess that kind of helped to instill some values in me that I take today as well, to just kind of understand where the importance lies when it comes to like, you know, creating wealth for yourself and things like that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised with the success you have right now today. It's all clearly stems from your upbringing. Definitely. It's quite clear, right? Yeah. Like you say, like you were instilled with, you know, that reframing of a mindset, having a positive mindset, right? Thinking of things in a different way, being confident in yourself. And talking about confidence, actually, I read that you started sewing from 11 years old, right? Yeah. You self-taught yourself, right? Yeah. What got you into like sewing? So this is my mum again. My mum used to make dresses. So I was actually a bit of a tomboy when I was younger. So I used to play football, and not very good, but I don't know. I think I just enjoyed being a bit, I don't know. I was a bit of a tomboy, but my mum used to make dresses. So we would always see her making dresses at home. She would have various sewing machines. And then
It was really quite simple, actually. In secondary school, in year 7, when you learn, you do your main courses, so the maths, English, science, etc. And then you do like food technology, you do your modern foreign languages, and then you do like design textiles. So at my school, I did textiles, and it was like the first day we went into the class, they showed us how to use the sewing machine. I was just like, I love this. Like, I genuinely just really, really enjoyed it. I don't know what was so fantastic to me, but it was so, I caught it so simply. It was so easy. Like, I just understood it. I mean, I did sew my fingers a few times, but it was quite simple, straightforward, and I just loved it. So the first project that they gave us to make at school was a pencil case. They provide you with the fabrics and stuff, but I'm very much if you're going to do something, make sure you do it amazingly or don't do it at all. So I thought the fabric they gave us was really cheap and just like, this is rubbish. So I was like, I'm going to go out. So on the weekend, I went to a store in Lewisham to go and buy like some denim material. And like, I just bought all these trinkets and all these little accessories and stuff because I wanted to like do some applique on there and just really make it like, if we're going to make a pencil case, let's make it properly, right? So I did that. But in doing what I decided to do, the time frame that they gave us at school to make the pencil case wouldn't have been enough. So I needed to come home and be making it at home. So I came home one day and I was like to Mum, can I use a sewing machine? She's like, my sewing machine? No, I can use my sewing machine. Like, please. Like, yeah, I sewed at school. So can I just use it She's like, what you're sewing at school is not please, you can't use it. I'm like, please, I really want to use it. I won't break it. Anyways, after going back and forth with her for a couple of hours, she let me use it. So I went ahead, completed the pencil case, and I wish I still had that pencil case. It was actually a cool pencil case. It was a denim pencil case. And it had, I thought a rabbit. I don't know why it was a rabbit. Maybe I had an obsession with rabbits at the time. I had a rabbit on there, but I did like an applique with the rabbit. And it was actually a very cool pencil case. I had a zip, learned to insert a zip, whatever. Yeah. Okay, cool. But obviously, a pencil case is really just 4 sides. So it's a very simple thing to make, right? You don't make a pencil case and say you know how to sew. Everybody can make a pencil case, right? So because my mom had let me use her sewing machine, I just thought, okay, I've got permission to use it that one time. I'm just going to keep using it when I need to. Like, I don't need to keep coming back to you. Oh, can I use this day? Can I use it? Let me just use it. So literally from that day, after school, every day, it's like, I will be so excited to come home and like set up the sewing machine and make things. So then I started taking my clothes apart. Yeah. And this is now I know this is like most kids who get into sewing, this is kind of the way that kids would, young kids would kind of learn how to sew. Okay. So I think. Anyways.
So like rip your clothes apart and then sew it back together again. So you'll take it
apart on all the seams. So my way of thinking at the time was, I take it apart on the seams because the way my mind works is if I can undo it, then I can understand how to do it. Right?
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'll take it apart
and then
kind of like put it back together. So it's like if you were to receive a puzzle, right? The puzzle came done. You kind of have a like photographic imagery in your head of what you should be creating. So I know what it should look like because it's mine. Yeah. Take it apart and then put it back together again. So that's what I did. And that's what I was doing with like a lot of my clothes. And then it's like, okay, cool. So let me make my own version. So then I will take clothes apart, use the individual patterns of that product to then go ahead and cut it out on new fabric and then make like a replica of it, but with a different piece of material, different type of fabric. I did that, was doing that with a few pieces. Then I kind of did a bit more where I would make my own patterns, everything freehand, by the way, no paper, no pencils, just cutting fabric straight. Wow. And then from there, I went on to start like making some clothes for myself. And then it became like, oh, where'd you get a skirt from? I like your skirt. Oh, I made it. Oh, really? Can you make me one? Yeah, sure. Okay. And then that became me like, okay, make one skirt for somebody. And then, oh yeah, the fabric for this skirt is going to cost £10. And it's like, okay, yeah. And then, oh, do you want to pay me £10 on top to make it? And then before you know it, people are paying £20 and then £25 and then somehow we got here.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, a whole lot more than
that's story, yeah. Which you're gonna go through. That's an epic like start for you as well. So clearly you were very passionate about sewing from jump, because it seems like it's like, you know, like people that you hear that when they're just in puzzles or they're in something and they're just engrossed in it. That's what you were like.
I think with that's how I am with most things in general. It was just that I guess that was probably one of the first things that I independently got myself involved in, and allowed myself to just get lost in it. Yeah. So it's like, you know, I start something, and if I enjoy it enough, I can get lost in it. Yeah. So that was like, you know, I also really wasn't good with group work when I was younger. I was very bad with it, actually. Like my teachers, every time they would give feedback, they would be like, yeah, you know, really good work, but your teamwork, like, you know, when it comes to working in groups, it wasn't something that I was strong in. I was quite smart when I was in school. And it used to, this is so bad, but I'm going to be honest. It used to frustrate me, like when they would, you know how you have different tables? So you normally have like tables, there'll be different names. So let's say you have tables 1 to 5. Yeah. And I was typically on top set tables. So sometimes they would do the group work where they like have the table is a group, but sometimes they will do the thing where they cross intersect, where they like give each person on the table a number and then you group. But then what that obviously does is it combines different strengths now. So I would get quickly frustrated with like when people don't get it sometimes. Okay. So it wasn't really nice, because then I'll be like, oh, let me just answer then. Like, like, can we just move on kind of thing? So teamwork was not something that I enjoyed. But when it came to textiles, it required no teamwork. Everybody makes your independent product. I make mine, I can get my head in, I can focus, and I don't need any distraction. So I really enjoyed it. And then when I came home as well, if I want to do my own thing, I can do my own thing. So I think that's partly why I enjoyed it. It's funny now because what I do now requires
teamwork.
So much teamwork. Like literally, there's hardly any independent working. So yeah, full circle. But yeah.
That's what life will teach you. Always honestly, full circle. Yeah. Always full circle. So I also read that you turned down 2 university offers to get into fashion. Why? What happened there? Because I mean, you think that's a natural progression,
it was the cost of the university. Okay. That's what the reason was, if I'm really frank. So basically, I went to, well, I didn't go, but my year was the year that they increased the uni fees from, I think it was 9,000 to 27,000. So basically,
for the whole time, you mean?
Yeah.
So instead of 3, not per year. It's 9 per year.
Yeah. Okay. So it used to be 3K a year. They increased it to 9K. I have a sister who's 1 year older than me. Yeah. So she went to uni and paid the 3K a year, right? So I remember, like, it's funny because I remember them speaking about it, like in the government and everything, about the possibility of it. And you know, this is the thing, like sometimes we can be naive because it's just a conversation. Surely it's not going to happen. Come on, how can they increase uni fees 3x? Like, that's crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you didn't like 1.5 it. You literally 3x'd it. And I don't really know what the reason, like, well, I mean, we do know what the reasons are, but it just wasn't justified for me. So whilst those discussions were happening, I think people aren't taking it seriously. Also, everyone has student loan, so you're not really deep in it. It's just like, okay, whatever even if they charge you 100K, everyone's gonna get student loan anyways, right? So I applied for uni, and that's also the trajectory they tell you in college. Like in college, you're kind of you're guided to go to uni. Like the whole setup of college is, you do your exams, you do all of this to get these grades to get accepted into uni. They don't really guide you to do any other thing. So you kind of, you learn to do one thing. So yeah, like everybody else, I learned to do that one thing. I did my uni work, my college work, and I got myself prepared to go to uni. So I applied for uni, and then I applied for Central St. Martin's and London College of Fashion, LCF. And so it got to the point where everyone's getting their acceptance. So I got accepted for LCF. I didn't get accepted to the course I wanted. I got accepted to a foundation course, which would then turn into the course that I wanted. LCF, I got accepted. Then they announced the increase of the uni fees. So I was like, I can't fathom this. And it was like, I remember speaking to my friends, and everyone just kind of was like, why are you even like, it's what it is. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, everyone's going to uni. It's just not. It's not really.
That's a pipeline, man.
Yeah, basically. Like, we're not. This is not really part of the discussion. Like, what do you think you're gonna do? But obviously, with most people's courses and subjects, you don't have a choice. What are you going to do? Not go? You want to be a doctor, you're not going to go to uni. Or you want to be, I don't know, you want to work in the finance world, you don't want to go to uni. Like nowadays, I guess it's done more, but back then, what's your alternative?
Yeah,
right?
there was none. Yeah.
So for me, I just was like, I can't picture myself. I can't really picture myself there. Can't really picture this. I don't want that debt when I leave. I don't think I want to do it. I don't know. So obviously you have that period of time where you can like accept or not. And I was like speaking to my parents and my siblings, like, I don't think I want to go. I'm not too sure. I'm not like, I don't know. And then also, I don't have to decide now. Like, if I don't go this year, I guess I can go next year, right? Like, why are we rushing? Everybody likes to put this pressure on you, like, don't do a gap year. I'm like, I don't know I don't know that I want to go. And I think it's a very expensive decision to make. It's also time consuming. In my head, I'm like, opportunity cost. Like, if I don't go, what can I do? So then I was like, I don't think I want to go. I don't think I'm going to go, actually. And that caused a big hoo-ha.
Yeah. Nigerian parents. I'm Nigerian. Yeah, I don't know how you got over that.
That caused a big hoo-ha. But yeah, I was just like, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. I'll go next year. I'm 1 year behind everybody. It's not that deep. So yeah, I decided I wasn't going to go. I just said, I'm not going to go. And then, I told my parents that I wasn't going to go. And then, again, my mum was just like, okay. I think my mum was more interested in like, all right, so what does this look like then? Like, I've got two older sisters. They both went to uni. One of them got a first, one of them got a 2-1. They did like architecture and law, like really like academic things. And I'm like, I'm a fashion designer. I'm not going to uni. I don't know, my dad was probably thinking in his head. So we came all the way from Nigeria to give you guys a living for you to come and tell me you're not going. And he always used to say you're not going to the university. Like, there was only one. You're not going to the university. And I'm just like, yeah, like there's other ways to make it in life. Come on. So anyways, I told my mum and she was like, okay, so what are you going to do? I was like, oh, well, I'm going to look for an internship. Try and find an internship and then like do an intern somewhere. And at the same time, like build my brand. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I support you. Because my mom supports, as long as you're not doing something crazy, she's going to be like, okay, like, I support you. And how else can I support you? I told my dad and he's just like, you're what? So I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to go to, in fact, I'm not going. I don't think I'm going. He's like, why would you not go to the university? So I'm just like explaining all the reasons about the finance, the money, the cost of it. And he's just like, what are you talking about? That's student finance. Like, everybody goes to uni. Why? That shouldn't be something that determines whether you go or not. So I was like, yeah, but aside from that as well, I just don't really think I want to go. And also another thing was how practical I understood fashion to be back then. And I say back then because there's so much more to fashion than the practical side. But how practical I understood it to be back then, I was like, it's a practical thing. So let me go into like a actual company and learn the practical side of things. Okay. So my dad just wasn't hearing it. He was just like, no, I don't understand this. I don't get it. So then I remember he was meant to get me a laptop for before I went to uni. And then I was like, oh, Daddy, can I get your card to get the laptop? And he was just like, no. You're only getting that thing if you go to uni. So I was just like, the two don't even, what? That's not even the same. Like, I needed the laptop regardless. He said, yeah, since you want to go and work, you get your laptop. So I was like, all right, okay. Then, this kind of leads into how the business started. Yeah. I used to sew at home for like the customers that I had at the time. And one day I was making a dress. No, I wasn't making the dress. My mum was making the dress that was blue. The color of the dress is very important. The dress was blue. My mum was making a blue dress for herself. And then my dad found a piece of blue thread on the floor and called me upstairs one day and was like, Bimsala, my full name is Bimsala. Bimsala, can you come upstairs? I was like, yeah, sure, come upstairs. Hi, Daddy, yeah. He said, I found blue thread on the floor. And I was like, okay, I wasn't using blue thread. None of the dresses I've been making have blue thread. He said, I've told you, I don't want to see any thread around this house. Anytime I see Fred around this house, I don't want to see it. Like the whole house shouldn't have to know that you're making clothes for people. What did I tell you? I don't want to see it around the house. So no more sewing in this house. So I'm like, I have customers' orders that I need to complete. And he's like, I don't care. You can't sew in this house.
Wow.
So I'm like, this doesn't even make any sense. I'm looking at my mum like, you know that's your friend. That is straight up your friend. That is not my friend because I did not use blue thread to make anything. Can you speak up? That's not my friend. He's just like, yeah, no more sewing. So I'm like, okay, do I even get like, you know, a period of, do I get days? Like, you know, my notice? Like, you know, at notice time? He's just like, no more sewing in the house. I think maybe he said to the end of the week or something like that. So I'm like, wow, okay. So that's where the hunt for a studio began. Because I was like, well, I'm not cancelling my orders. I know obviously what my dad's approach was. I think he was basically trying to make the situation so uncomfortable for me so that you'll be kind of forced. And by the way, this was still in the period where university hadn't started. So I could still go.
Okay.
So I think it was just basically trying to make the situation so uncomfortable for me whereby I might just be like, maybe I'll just go to uni. But that was not happening. So I was just like, okay, I'll find a studio then. And I guess I'll be forced to make enough dresses to make sure I can pay my rent. So yeah. So then that's how that kind of began. Started looking for a studio for me to find somewhere to make dresses. And then, yeah, got myself out of the house in terms of making dresses to start making dresses in the studio, the first studio that I got at the time.
So wait, you were making wedding dresses from that point?
No, so I wasn't making wedding dresses
Okay,
then.
so you're just making dresses, yeah.
Just like, you know, like Ankara, back then, Ankara was popular.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
if anybody had a party,
okay, so that's how you started?
Yeah, I started making
mad.
Ankara and just like little like denim skirts.
Okay.
I changed like my school uniform, which actually is quite interesting because they still wear it till today. They wear the uniform that I designed back in God knows how many years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was making more just like Ankara, like evening, maybe like birthday dresses, things like that. No wedding dresses at the time.
Yeah.
I started making wedding dresses nearly 10 years ago.
Okay.
This was before then.
Okay. But Alonuko, was that still the name at that time? Or when did that actually start?
Alonuko was not the name at that time. Okay. No, it was not the name at that time. Alonuko the name became Alonuko shortly after, maybe about 2 or 3 years after that time. Because what age do you leave uni? So you leave college, sorry. I leave college, I think I would have been 16, 17, I believe.
College you leave like around 18.
18, okay, yeah. I would have been 17 because my birthday's in August. So so 17. So I believe Alonuko itself became like Alonuko when I was about 20, 21, yeah. Okay,
and what inspired that part to like transition into
bridal?
Yeah.
So the transition into bridal was not intentional. I wasn't thinking about weddings. I wasn't thinking about brides. In my head, I wanted to make red carpet dresses because that's where like my inspiration came from. I would see like celebs on the red carpet and be like, oh my gosh, I love that dress so much. I want to make that for myself. And that's kind of where I was young as well. Like I'm not looking at weddings at all. And I'm not going to lie, I've never been that, you know, like that whole, every girl has dreamed of her wedding day. I'm absolutely not that person. I mean, I work in the wedding industry, so it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. But just not that person.
Okay.
So it wasn't, no. But I love like just looking absolutely fabulous. I love the idea of like dressing up, showing up when you see these celebrities on a red carpet and just in these like really extravagant dresses and intricate details. And I was really caught by the intricate details and the fantastic craftsmanship. So I was more interested in doing those kind of things. Then I received an email from a bride. Her name is Adele. I'll never forget her. She emailed me and she was a Christian. She said that, I got, what did she say? She basically like spoke from a spiritual place where she was saying that I am the person who should be making a wedding dress for her. I was like, girl, God didn't reveal that to me. So I don't, if this is all spiritual, I'm expecting to hear it too. But I just said, yeah, I know about that. I don't know where the dresses. I'm not trying to ruin your day. So I don't know about the wedding dresses. She was very adamant. She's like, yeah, like, you need to be the person to wear the dress. I'm just like, what did you see? Like, when I scroll back on my social media, on my Instagram, to that period of time, like you saw into the future, because what I was showing on my page at that time, it was good. It was like good clothes, really nice, but it didn't scream wedding dress at all. There was nothing, in my opinion anyways, there was nothing about the dresses that I was making at that time that would make me think someone can come onto my page and be like, I wonder if she can make my wedding dress.
Yeah.
Especially
like for real.
Like, like there was, just in my opinion, there was nothing that made me think like, So she contacted me. I was quite against the idea initially. And then she was quite adamant that, like, it needs to be you. So I said, okay, do you know what? Come in for a consultation with me. We can sit down and design the dress and speak about it and see like what we can do. She was like, yeah, sure. She came in, had a consultation, designed the dress and everything. And then she was like so excited. She's like, yeah, let's do this. The process is so different. Like when I think back to how the process was back then to how the process is now. But so I made her wedding dress. And then in the process of making her wedding dress, I used to make bridesmaids dresses back then. I would make bridesmaids dresses, but no wedding dresses until that one. I was making the bridesmaids dresses for a bridal party of about 8 or 9 women. And then the bride had come to do her consultation. We started making the bridesmaids dresses. And then I think she came one day to kind of like check the progress of the bridesmaids dresses. She was impressed. And she was, I think I was at the Adele, the bride dress I was making. I believe her dress was somewhere within the space where she can see that I was working on a wedding dress. So she was, do you make wedding dresses as well? I won't quite say I make wedding dresses. I am making a wedding dress for somebody, which is a challenge that I've agreed to accept. But I wouldn't quite say I make wedding dress. That's a big statement. I don't know about that. So she was just like, okay, okay. Like, I wonder if you can make my wedding dress. I said, help me too, I wonder. But anyways, again, we were like, okay, let's sit down. Let's talk about it. We did that. And then she was just like, I want you to make my wedding dress. I said, all these ladies, you wanted me to make your wedding dresses. Like, where were you getting your wedding dresses before you found me? Because, I don't understand. But again, for me, I enjoy a challenge. So I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. So did those 2 wedding dresses. And I think both their weddings were maybe like a couple months apart. Yeah. So I remember Adele, like I vividly remember her coming, trying on her dress and like just like crying, like, oh my gosh, it's everything I wanted. Like just literally in awe of the dress and just so happy and so like just really, really satisfied with the process and the dress and everything. And I just remember thinking, raw, like you're crying like for a dress. Oh my gosh, is it that deep kind of thing? But again, you've got to remember at that time, I didn't imagine that I was going to be making wedding dresses. So I'm just thinking, okay, this is really deep to you. And then also, all the dresses that I made before that, they're not wedding dresses. So whilst people will come and love the dresses, I guess it's not, it's like, it's not, occasion. I guess this is a very sentimental, very emotional time as well. So, things are very deep. I was like, this is so sweet. Like, okay. And then the second bride, Moji, she came. Again, she came, I don't think she cried, but she was like really, really happy. We even built like a really nice friendship and stuff. And I think at the end of those 2 dresses, I just realized like, this is really something, this process and what this means to these women is so much more than just a dress. Like this is arguably one of the most important days for women, not just women, but people who get married. It's a very important day. The outfit, what you show up in, is equally as important. Oh, not as equally as important as your marriage, but it's important. So it means a lot to them. So I think for me, it was the contrast between the reaction and the experience that I was having with people who are making dresses just for like, being a guest at a party and stuff like that, which is also is very important. But there is undeniably a difference in that reception, that experience. And I think it just kind of made my purpose feel more like, or made me feel more purposeful, should I say. It made me feel like, okay, there is an importance with what I'm doing here. Like, this is not a small thing. I'd always known from a young age that I was gifted and talented when it came to creative and things like that. But I don't think I'd ever really deeped how much impact like my talent and my gifting could have in other people's lives.
Yeah.
It was more like, okay, this is my gift, this is my talent. Like I'm good at doing sketch, I'm good at drawing, I'm good at arty, crafty, creative things. My family were all quite crafty and creative. But I don't think I realized that this gift and talent that I've been blessed with has the power to bless other people in a way that is beyond what I had imagined or expected. So, yeah, I think for me, at that moment, I realized that, there's so much more that can be done with this, and I'm willing to explore it.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I want to create a collection and release the collection and be a wedding dress designer. Then I would be like, it's like on one side, like I'll think about it and then I'll be like, oh, shut up, Gbemi. And then I would be like, no, wait, but I think I could do it. Then I would be like, oh, come on, how much does it cost to make a collection? You're not doing it. You can't do it. Then I'll be like, all like researching, like trying to understand, like, how does Vera Wang do it? How did she start her business? All these things. I'm like, I could do that. I'm sure I could do that. Okay. Oh, but you can't do it. Stop being silly. Just go ahead and do it. And then I guess I spoke myself into the idea of being able to do it enough to finally do it.
Wow. That's a very God's planning, right?
Yeah, definitely not my plan. So
you got to thank Adele, right? Her name was.
Adele.
You got to thank Adele for pushing you. You know,
really, honestly, because I don't know. Listen, maybe I need to get in contact with her and be like, "What is it that you saw? What was the vision?" Because
I need to go look on your page and find out what they
she's
saw.
there. She's right there. I need to like do a post.
I mean, and then the second person as well.
Moji, yeah, really.
I mean, clearly they felt that you had the talent,
yeah.
Right? So I think sometimes when you can see somebody who's talented, just because they're not doing this, they know that you're really good. You've got your attention to detail. They're like, okay, I think you can do that. You know? So yeah, sometimes people do see things in you before you see it yourself. That is very true. Wow. So okay, so that was like was that the beginning of Alonuko?
That was the beginning of Alonuko.
That was the beginning of Alonuko. Well, I guess what was the inspiration for the name, and how much do you kind of start with to start that part off?
Yeah. So the name is literally my surname backwards. So my surname is Okunlola. Alonuko. Well, I dropped an L because it sounded weird to be Alonuko. I was like, let's just make that an apostrophe, and then I took the apostrophe away. So yeah, that's where the name came from. And then your second question was, how much
do you roughly kind of start with to like actually?
To get started.
Yeah.
So when I started my the first bridal collection that we did. I say we, it was me. And actually I had an intern with me. Her name was Tara. God bless Tara, because I needed her to do that collection. So I did my first collection. I had saved £15,000 of my money at the time. And this is, you know what? This is one of the things that I say to people is, the earlier you can get started on something, the better. And if that thing can get started when you live at home with your parents, you better start that thing because you don't have costs. Well, everybody's situation is different, right?
Yeah.
But
minimal
it's
costs.
It's more likely than not that your costs at home will be less than the cost that you have as soon as you leave that house. So for me, I was still young. I was at home. Listen, if this thing doesn't work or not, I still have somewhere to lay in my head at night. I'm still going to eat. I'm still like, do you know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of like money lost, but for me, I'm just like, this is the time to take all the risk. I'm going to take all the risk right now, yeah? So I had 15,000, and I was like, and at this point, I would have been 20 or 21. So I saved £15,000, and then I was like, I want to create this collection. I want to release it and like make it very clear to the world. This is who Alonuko is. This is what I do. And then, so I started like writing my plan down, how much it costs to make a collection, and then like, do I do a photo shoot, and how much it costs to do a photo shoot. And then I was like looking at all these brands and stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do a photo shoot. I want to do a fashion show. I want people to come in person and see the dresses. And then I started looking into how much that costs, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot. Like, I can't afford this. What? No. But then I was like, if I make the dresses, how do I get people to see it? Because I need to get people to see it. So I need the people here. Anyways, I did up the costume and it was coming in at like 30-something K.
Whoa.
So I was like, park it. Forget this. Let me just continue doing what I'm doing. It's not going to happen. But then I was just like, every day I would be like, I really want to do this thing, man. I got these designs. I got these dresses. I really want to do it. Like, I really want to do it. I'm going to do this. Then I found this website called Kickstarter, which is so it's like you can go on there. I guess it's like it's a fundraising platform.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not actually. I don't know. People might raise a lot of money on there, but for me, it was like a platform that I can pitch my idea, and hopefully people would invest or like pledge. It's not an investment because there's no equity, so it's like you give them like little. You create like what you give them in return. So it could be like give them discount on something if they decide to buy in the future, or you give them a thank you letter, or you give them a t-shirt that says Alonuko on it, you know, things like that. So I went on there, put my my whole idea on there. I think one of the things that really, really supported my pitch was the fact that I had saved 15,000. So I had saved 15 and I was asking people to match my 15.
Right.
So I was, you know, it was evident that I had worked hard and stuff, and there was a goal, and then there's things I wanted to do. I had pictures of dresses that I had made. I told my story and everything. And then the world just came together. Like, so it's important to note that I was actually on The Apprentice. It's so funny.
Were you?
Yeah, I was on The Apprentice, on the Junior Apprentice.
Oh, swear
Don't go
down.
and look for it because you find funny things. But I was on The Apprentice. It's important. The reason why I say it is because I think it's actually important to note that I had a reasonable following on my social platform because of the fact that I was on The Apprentice.
Okay. With you doing, this is prior to Alonuko, but this is your previous business, which was sewing lots of people. So you went to an apprentice as that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Amazing. But
so
it's still your hard work though.
Yeah. So I think people, because I had a bit of a following, it wasn't like I had, and obviously it's social media, like how many years ago, right? So it wasn't like I had just 100 followers. I did have a couple thousand followers. So it's a point to say that, because I think sometimes people might feel like, why can't I post this, and how do you get people to see it? I did have a following at the time, so I was able to leverage that. So so I posted there. I had like people seeing it from around the world, supporting. Long story short, we made the 15k, so I had a 30k. I was, oh my gosh, like 30k in my bank account. Wow. This is like at that age. But yeah, as quick as it landed is as quick as it left, boy. That money got deployed quickly. But so used that to go ahead and make my first collection, do a fashion show. We did a fashion show at the Decorium, had all these models. We made a whole event out of it. Like, there was food. We had 400 guests turn up. And till date, I do not know how the word spread in the way that it did for 400 people to pay.
That's
it wasn't
lot
free.
Of people.
It was a paid event. Like, I charged tickets to get people to come. And I don't know, like 400 guests to come to your first fashion show that was not sponsored. Like, I did have sponsors and stuff, but it wasn't like it was like sponsored by like, you know, big establishments or anything. So it was all really done by like within our power, within our reach. And like we did that event. And then organically, it just started growing on social media. Social media is powerful if you allow it to be. So it started growing from there on socials, on Instagram.
So you shared the content from that show
from that
onto
event.
Your socials. Yeah. And then that was like spreading like wildfire.
Exactly.
Okay. And orders are coming in.
Yeah, orders started coming in.
Damn.
So I think after that I had I made my sister's wedding dress. So that's a very important part. I made my sister's wedding dress. She got married the year before I decided to do that. That was actually quite pivotal. So after those two ladies that I made wedding dresses for, my sister was getting married. She had like, she was going to get her dress from somewhere. We went dress shopping, etc. And my contribution was just more like, you know, creatively guiding and directing the decision making when it came to the wedding dress, not making the wedding dress. Because I'm like, I know my family. If there is one thing wrong with that dress, I am not going to hear the end of it. You people are going to really tarnish my name on that wedding day, and I do not want it. She said to me that, like, I want you to make my wedding dress. And I heard, Jesus, let's not make a habit of this now. I was playing the last 2 times. Now, this is too serious for me. She said, I really think you can do it. I want you to make my wedding dress for me. Okay, cool. So I agreed, made her wedding dress. And I can't lie, to date, it's probably one of the most high pressure things I've ever had to do. I remember every time she came to my studio to do her fitting, and I remember my heart like doing doof, like thinking, oh my gosh, is she gonna like it? Is it gonna fit? And also, one thing with my family, they're not going to lie to you. If the thing is crap, they're going to tell you. So anyways, she loved her dress.
Yeah.
And on the wedding day, like all my family, my aunties, my uncles, Gbemi Sola, this is amazing. Wow. Oh my gosh. So I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, like everybody really likes it. And like, if my family tell me something is good, no one can tell me nothing.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, they can tell you something. Well, at the time, their word, like even till now, their word means a lot. So that really encouraged me to actually go ahead and do the bridal stuff. So then after doing that fashion show, that was like the moment where we had enough content to share. So funny because back then it wasn't called content. It was pictures, post your pictures on Instagram that people see, and organically people would see it. Can you make my wedding dress? Yeah, sure, let's make it. Let's, and then slowly but surely the brand began to grow.
Yeah.
And
wow.
then yeah.
That's epic.
It is.
That's
actually
epic, epic journey. And thank you for like sharing everything about the Young Apprentice. Although, yes, that was leverage. That's leverage you gave yourself because it's not like you were gifted the position. You wouldn't be on Young Apprentice if you wasn't doing it.
No, you had to apply, and it was very long-winded application. So.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that on another day for sure. For sure. That's epic. That's amazing. So I want to know obviously about the business, right? The business side of it, right? So in your first year of business, how much did Alonuko roughly make?
First year of business.
Yeah. So that would have been the first year after. Yeah, that first year fashion show. Yeah.
First year, maybe like 20K.
But you would have been very happy with that, right?
20, yeah, like, hey, like I said, I was living at home with my parents.
So you would have been like, wow.
Yeah.
This is mad.
I look, for me, right, from as soon as I left college, my dad made it clear, he stopped my allowance as well. Because I wasn't going to uni. So my sisters, anyone, like if you go to uni, you obviously get like your student finance, your maintenance allowance, and my dad would like top it up. I didn't get no top up. So basically, from the moment I decided that I'm going to do this, it was you have a bit like, as in you want to do your life kind of thing. I mean, thankfully I was able to sleep in the house, and nobody was making me feel weird at home. But yeah, anything I wanted to do, like just know you need to make your own money to do it, right? So for me, my priorities were pay my rent, the resources I needed to allow my business to work, which was sewing machine, cutting table, laptop, etc. All those things. Make sure I can afford those things, and then if I'm left over with something, this is fantastic. Yeah, I'm running a business.
Yeah,
me and my
so you were just
scissors.
happy to just keep on going.
Yeah.
What kind of kept you going though? Because you're facing such let me not say pressure, but it's like you're kind of being a rebel. Yeah, you're being a rebel. Let's be honest.
Do you know what? Let me be honest with you. So I did. Sorry, I forgot to mention. I did actually get an internship. I did 2 internships. So I did an internship at a fashion house called Osman Yusuf Zada, which they actually know more, but at the time they were, and a second one called Theodore Galan. Whilst I was doing those internships, so at Osman's, I would start he opened at 10 till 6. I was still taking on customer orders. So my internship, it was actually an apprenticeship. So I was actually getting paid. You get paid like £400 a month. So I was like, okay, great. Because worst case scenario, if I don't get any bookings, I think my rent was £400 a month. So I just always knew that money is reserved for my rent. Yeah. Even if I can't eat, I can pay my rent. So, but look, I want orders. So just think about it. At 10 to 6, that's a 9 to 5 job, right? How do I make dresses outside of 10 to 6? So what I used to do is I would go to my studio at like 7 a.m. and work from 7 to 9:30. Wow. I'll take the DLR from Deptford to Waterloo, which is where Osman was, get there by 10, and then leave him at 6, get the DLR back to my studio and do my night shift till like whatever time, however long it takes me, 12 a.m., however long it takes me to finish making whatever I'm making. And I was doing that. I was at Osmond's for 11 months and I did that pretty much every day. So when you ask the question, what made me, look, when you've accepted an order from a client and the customer tells you that the due day for this product is so and so day, you have to deliver. Yeah. So to be honest, if I'm very honest with you, I got myself into a cycle where you can't actually exit now. Okay. You're trapped. because
Right.
you've accepted all these orders.
Yeah.
And unless you're going to say, guys, sorry, I can't make the dresses anymore, and give the dresses and give the money back, you need to complete and fulfill. So for me, that was one side of it. And then the other side of it was, you know, I'm going to work in my studio in this little room to make these dresses every day. Meanwhile, I'm going to work for this fashion house and I'm seeing like the price that he's charging for his clothes and the people buying their clothes and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I want to be able to do that. Like, this is so cool. So it's like, okay, well, you know, you can do it, but it's going to take something. And I guess I'm doing the thing that it's going to take. It's just a lot of hard work. This isn't, you know, it's not going to be forever. I don't know how many years it's going to be working at this rate, but this is the journey. This is where it starts. And whatever you do in life is going to cost you in terms of like hard work, if it's worth it anyways. So for me, I guess it's just about choosing the hard work. So I think I just really believed that this is going to take me somewhere. Yeah. And whilst I couldn't see where it was going to take me, I think I was curious to see where it could take me. Yeah. And I was willing to do the work. Yeah. And then also I had something to prove. I just told my dad I'm not going to uni. Yeah, fair enough. I said I'm not going to uni.
So you had a chip on your shoulder in a way.
So
you're like, I'm going to prove this.
Yeah, I need to do this thing so that I can tell you after that, hey, my plan worked. So yeah, I guess a combination of things.
That is crazy. Oh, wow. That's what's mad about it is the fact that the hours you were doing. You see, this is the thing, right? A lot of people,
they don't have a clue.
The origins, the real origins of what's going on. Working 9 to 5, you're working basically, what, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours daily.
Overnight sometimes,
Overnight. Yeah. People don't realize this is what it takes sometimes. They just see you now. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that. Like,
not at all. Do you know what it's ugly. I'm joking. It's not ugly. But behind the scenes, a lot goes into it. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. So, gosh. Okay. Yeah. So obviously in 2023, right? So that went up to 1.2 million, right? In terms of revenue, 1.3 million, right? Sorry, I've got it written down. I was trying to use memory. No, 1.3 million. What do you think fueled that growth from, 20,000 to 1.3 million? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it was a journey. It was years, isn't it? Like, how many years was that? Like maybe like 6 years or so.
That's still a lot though.
It's still a lot, yeah. It is. I mean, the growth was great. And I guess 3 years ago, in 2021, we actually, so up until that point, we got from where I say like 20K to about 150K in about 4 or so years. I might be getting my numbers wrong, but around 4 years. Yeah. And, that was steady growth. It was like, but it's like, there's so much to capture here. There's so much to do. And we are limited because we are reinvesting our profits and we can move as far as what we've just reinvested allows us to. So we actually did a raise in a friends and family raise in 2021, 3 years ago. And we raised just over 250K, which really, really helped with a lot of the plans that we had at that time. So like I wanted to move studios. We were seeing that we were getting a lot of interest from America.
Okay.
So I was like, let's take Alonuko to America. One time, me and Nicole, so she's one of my best friends from school. She works with me. She's always believed in me and the business. We went to America one time because we had 3 clients, 2 or 3 customers. He wanted to make a dress with us. So we were like, yeah, sure, we'll come to you. So we went to America to have like consultations with them and everything. They booked, which was great. But I mean, in hindsight, we probably paid so much to go there that by the time you figure out how much was left, probably was nothing. Yeah. But I was just so excited about the idea of having interest from America. We can see that the interest from America was literally increasing. It was increasing. We were getting a lot of interest from America. We started making some dresses for people in America, not going there anymore, but just some dresses. But then we saw that, a lot of the interest we were getting wasn't converting. And I think it was just because they weren't able to like see things in real life and feel it and get that in-person experience. Yeah. So I was like, we need to go there. We need to go. And so that was one of our key goals. So this is where we created our Coming to America CTA model, which is basically where we do pop-up trunk shows in different states in America. So our first one that we did post the raise in 2022, we went to 3 states. So we went to New York, Atlanta, and Houston. We saw 100 brides in 3 weeks. And
Wow.
first of all, we were bloody exhausted. But aside from that, we were like, wow, like, I can't believe 100 people booked and paid to see us in America and actually like booked wedding dresses with us. Like, there's a market here for us. There's something to do here. So anyways, off the back of that that trunk show, we started working a bit more aggressively with the American market. We now go there at least 3 times a year to do trunk shows. But from that raise that we did, it really allowed us to do a lot of the things that we had wanted to do, but weren't able to do because we were limited because of funds, because of like the inability to reinvest funds. So at the point of our raise, we were revving about 150K. And then we've been able to 9x that in 3 years. So in 2023, we were able to hit, is that 3 years? Am I counting correctly?
2021 to 2023 is 2 years.
2 years, sorry.
Yeah.
We were able to 9x that to 1.3 million. And that was just because, we were really able to employ the right kind of staff, the right kind of skilled people to work, get the right kind of space to operate in, and really just go harder in all the areas that we wanted to be able to take us from where we were operating, the level that we're operating at, to where we're able to operate at now. So, I mean, the former years, I look at those as the years of grafting, understanding the industry, understanding my skill set, understanding what I wanted Alonuko to be, whilst it wasn't that yet. Like, I knew the vision I had for it. I knew what I wanted it to be. And we're still building that. Like, it's not, we haven't reached our peak. We're not at the point yet where we're like, yes, we've arrived. There's so much more to do. And then when we actually received that money, we were able to implement a lot of those things. Yeah. And then now at a stage, we're actually doing another fundraise, again, to reach, because we have a goal to hit 10 million in the next 3 years.
Wow.
Or potentially even supersede that. But yeah, so it was like a combination of needing the funds to be able to make the goals become reality. And a huge part of that, most entrepreneurs will know, is really building out that team. It was me. Like, I say that it was a company back then, but it was me and the name. Yeah. And me doing everything. Me being customer service, me making the dress, me going to buy the fabric, me doing absolutely everything. And there's only so far you can stretch one person till you now start depreciating in certain areas, if not all areas. So as soon as we are able to start like hiring the right people with the right skill sets and things like that, are able to do a lot more with the brand. Yeah. So I think that's probably one of the key things that allowed us to get to that point, and allow us to get to the point that we're going to. Yeah. Amazing.
Wow. It's crazy because you clearly use the money effectively. Some businesses will squander it, but you use that effectively.
But that's why I say, had you given me the money when I got those first 3 wedding dresses, no, I would have probably done a madness. Like, I probably would have, I don't know. I mean, you know what it is? Like, when I did my first fashion show, you remember I raised 15K. Plus the 15K I had. So I was working with £30,000, which in hindsight really is not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money to start a business or to start an idea. I knew how to work with 30K. When we did our raise 3 years ago, and I had just over 250K, again, like in comparison to what some people raise, 250K, you click your fingers and it's gone, right? But at the time, for what I knew and how I wanted to operate and how much equity we wanted to give away as well, it was the amount that I was comfortable with working with. Had I had some of the people that I have on my team now who have a bit more foresight and experience in the industry to know what to do with a larger sum of money, then we could have probably raised a bit more. We could have, used the money even better, right? But this is why, for me, I think it's really important that when you're doing a raise, when you're growing a company, like if you're in a position where you have the perfect team to begin with and the right amount of money to just pair that and do everything amazingly to begin with, absolutely do it. Yeah. But if you're in a position where you don't necessarily have everything up to scratch, this is where like companies can fail very early on, just because you can have all of that money, but your team might not have a clue. So then it's like you're putting it all in the wrong places. You don't have knowledge of the industry you're trying to enter. You think that this is the important area to focus on, whereas it's actually this, and you're doing all the wrong things. Whereas what I kind of describe as a slow growth, even though some might look at me and be like, oh, you did all of that in just this time, I describe it as a slow growth because it's like every year we're getting so much stronger, so much wiser, so much more knowledge to understand my business more, to understand where and how we need to pivot in order for us to hit these goals, to change with the climate. Like things are changing all the time, and just to do things and strategize and review and audit and things like that. So it's like being able to do that and do it with the right team and do it with the right amount of money to head in the right direction. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of really learning and understanding. And I think where people don't do the learning and just think throw the money at it, it's like you can throw the money at it and you're throwing all the money in a hole. And then you're just like, oh, damn. You know, if I was to go back and revisit how we deployed the cash that we raised, I mean, I think we did a pretty good job with it, but there's still areas that, you know, we could really critique and be like, we could have done that, or we could have done this, or we could have done that, you know? But you learn. And that's, I think, the most important part. Is really, business is about humility. You learn every day. You're like, damn. And you have to be honest with yourself and know when you need to improve on things. You also need to really, really credit yourself with your strength. And in areas that you know, and you know that you know, stand on what you know. There's definitely been times where it's like I know something, I'm sure of it, but then I doubt it, and then I change direction, and then I realized later that I was heading in the right direction. Why didn't I just continue doing that? So okay, it's fine. Now you know, just do it right now. You know, so it takes a lot of that. Yeah,
I love that. I absolutely love that. So I've got a question for you, right? What do you think differentiates you? Because obviously there are other luxury bridal brands out there. Why do you think your customers choose Alonuko?
Oh, we are just the best. You know? It's not a hard question. Is there any better than Alonuko? No, I'm joking. Well, I mean, I'm not. But so it's a number of things. Our quality is impeccable. We pride ourselves on really delivering the best when it comes to the quality of our dresses. We also identified a gap in the market when it came to serving underserved women, that being Black women, women of colour, women of different shapes and sizes. And we really focused on that. Why? Because I'm one of them. I'm a Black woman. If you go to the store, this was specifically to do with the skin mesh. And most people would be very familiar with our illusion tool, what we use when it comes to wedding dresses and evening dresses as well. That was something that I remember the day going to a fabric store and looking for brown skin tool to use on somebody's dress. And I will never forget the store, the guy in the shop bringing black, as in the colour of my top, black fabric, and putting it on my skin. I said, yeah, it matches. I'm like, which of us do you think you're fooling? I can see it. You can see it. It doesn't match my skin. What are you on about? I said, okay, thank you, sir. And it was at that moment that I knew that you're not for us. Like, you know, you go to a bridal store and you get the standard and the default, not just bridal, you go to shops in general, the default skin color or skin tone fabric is like what we would describe as a beige. And that, you know, it's the same with tights. Before tights for brown women were invented. Same for underwear. It's the same for linings under skin tones. It's typically made for a white woman or a white man. And it's not even like there's an option. It's like women didn't realize that they were wearing clothes that the skin color underneath it is not your skin color, to the point that when we started putting brown, they would be like to me, but the dress is brown. And I'm like, yeah, so what do you want it to be? You want it to be beige or peach? You're not peach, you're not beige, you're brown. Oh, yeah. It's like genuinely like educating you that's not the standard. That's not normal. That was made for them. It wasn't made for you. So that was like a phenomenon for us. That was like a big thing. Like people being like, wow, it blends. And it's like, it reminded me of when I was younger and I got the baby born doll when they finally invented the black one. Yeah. And I remember we used to have the white one because that was what that was available. And then for Christmas, my mum bought us a brown one. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, the baby looks like me. Like, and it was like, that's how I felt with brides. Like, oh my gosh, the illusion tool matches my skin. And it's that being able to literally create, invent, deliver something to an audience or community of people who typically were not being catered to. And they are now feeling heard and seen. And we know that there's so much more that we can do. You know, we're constantly working on improving the fabrics that we use, improving the methods that we use to serve different body shapes, different things. So it's really that constant evolving, that constant evolution of improving. And I say that because it sounds so simple, but it's something that you don't often see in the fashion industry. It's like, you know, you figure out your way of doing something and you just consistently do that. And which is good, which is fine, but there's always room for improvement. And that's why you see brands being forgotten, because a new brand comes in and they take over because you chose not to move with the times. But something that I'm always saying is like, you got to keep moving. Like, you know, you have to always be looking out for what is it that people like? What do people enjoy? Stay true to your brand. I'm not saying you should be doing every new thing. Stay true to your brand, but it's really about evolving, listening to your customer. So that's even part of one of the main things that we're working on now is releasing our evening wear, something that we've worked on, for a long time. There's been times that we've released the evening wear, can see that it's going well, but we hadn't quite worked out how we would supply demand, so we didn't go ahead with it. Or finally at a position where we figured it all out, so we're actually doing it. But like that, you know, we've got such a large following, such a large customer base, who are like, we just want to wear the dresses that you wear, Gbemi. Can we just not wear the dresses that you wear? And I'm like, it's not that simple, but we figured out how to make it simple. So it's like, you know, not every single one of our followers or people within our community are going to get married or get married soon. Some of them are already married, but they love the brand. They want something else. What is it that we can do to bring that to you? So for us, it's always about trying to figure out what is the next problem to solve within our space, within the space of our community. How can we best serve you? And if it's within our capabilities, we do it. If it's not within our capabilities, we figure out how to do it. And it's just about constantly striving to be the best. I think this is probably just like something to do with my character trait. I'm very competitive. I love a challenge, hence why I took Adele's order those years ago. And for me, I'm very much like, if I have a concept or an idea, it will hurt me so bad if like I see somebody else doing it. I knew I could do that. So that's it's like my motto for life, and this is not just with business, is like, if you try and you succeed, then you know that I deserved that. Like, I deserved this. I worked for this, so I deserve to enjoy the feeling with this thing. If you try and you fail, you still know you tried. You can't beat me for trying. Like, at the end of the day, I gave this my all. I gave it everything. So I'm really about, like, you know, when you finish a race, you should be tired. You shouldn't finish the race and just be like, oh yeah, that was light work. I mean, some people it's like that, but for me, it's really about giving it everything. And if I'm confident that I've done that, then I believe my job and my assignment is complete. So as it is, my job and my assignment is not complete. I have so much more to give. I've got so much more.
I love to hear that. We're gonna definitely ask you some questions about that. I had a question for you actually. You know, with the high standards that you set for yourself, you know, and it being a luxury brand, right? Naturally, that comes with high customer expectations, right? And even for me, I would say if I'm paying a lot for something, right, I'm going to be, you know what it's like, people are going to be impeccable customer service. How do you manage that, that whole customer, you know, service part to make sure that it's staying at a high quality level just as much as, you know, your dresses and your gowns?
So that's twofold. So to begin with, going into it, and for like a good half of the company or the business, I'm a fussy person. Oh no, do you know what? I reject it. I'm not a fussy person. I reject it because I'm a particular person who knows what they want, and I oftentimes get labelled fussy. And now I've somehow adopted the title. So that's why I'm on the camera rejecting it. I am a very particular person who knows what they want. So as a result, I find that when it comes to delivering a product or a service, I get it when people are very specific and want what they want, because I'm the same. Like, I go to eat in a restaurant, I've asked for my food to be made a particular way. I just need it to be made that way. Like, I'm not trying to be that person who sent it back to the kitchen. And you know what? It's not even anything to do with the price. So I remember, I've always something to remember, but I remember going to McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's anymore, but I remember going to McDonald's, and I sent the food back at the window because basically I ordered a Mac chicken sandwich with cheese and mayo, and I asked for extra mayo. Number one, the cheese that was put into the burger was, I'm going to bring this back, by the way, but this part is important. The cheese I put in the burger was not melted. It was meant to be melted. It wasn't melted. They didn't add any extra sauce. And it was a bit cold. So I just felt like, I'm not going to enjoy this. And I'm a big foodie. I need to enjoy my burger. I remember my friends in the car be like, oh my gosh, Gbemi, it's not that deep. It's literally £1.99 or however much a Mac chicken. I said, but that's the thing. It's not about the money. Like, I'm not complaining about the value of the product or the value of the item. My thing is, I deserve to be satisfied with this thing. Whether it's 10p, £10 or 10k. I deserve to enjoy this experience, right? I deserve to enjoy this meal. So for me, I've always had that mindset when it came to delivering products, delivering goods and receiving it. So I go into it being my work with that mindset. And then to add on top of it, I know the price of our items. So the fact of the matter is, part of why we're able to charge that is because we're promising a particular service. We're promising a particular quality on the garment. So it should reflect all in, right? That was kind of the initial. But then the fact is, my strengths are not customer services. That's not my strength. My strength is not customer service. My strength is production, business, fashion. So when you're trying to do the two, sometimes it's like the energy that's required to do that job can get overlooked or not. It might not be at the standard that you want it to be. This is where you need to hire the right people to do the job. Not just because it's not even only just because you're doing two things. It's also to do with the fact that someone can do this better than you. And this is why I say it's the point of you to know your strengths. Like, I'm not the most sociable person in life in general. I'm also not the most, I would prefer that my front-facing staff speak better than I do when it comes to delivering what our product. I think it should align. We're a luxury brand. And there is somewhat a leverage that I have being the company owner where, you know, it's not necessarily, it's expected for me to deliver a fantastic service, etc., etc. But, you know, oftentimes when I meet my clients, it's more like, oh, lovely to meet you kind of thing. Like, you know, meet the founder type vibe as opposed to selling the dress type vibe, right? Unless it's that I'm sitting in on a consultation. But it's important that whoever is doing consultations, answering the phone, etc., you're delivering a top level standard. So for me, it's like, I believe someone can do the job better than I can. I'm going to hire someone to do the job better than I can. This is not no one wins trying to be the best at everything. Let me be the best at what I'm good at so that you can be the best at what you're good at. So that as a company, we can be the best. I can't wear all hats. I don't try to wear all hats. I'm not trying to be a jack of all trades. I'm trying to be a master of one or some. So let's all be good at what we're good at. And that's my goal. I see that with not just business, relationships, friendships, etc. You know, there's traditional roles that people say should wear this hat and should wear that hat. If you're good at doing something and someone else is good at doing something, let's be good at what we're good at so that together we can be a fantastic team. And that's how I play it. So for me, how do you maintain a certain level of customer service and customer experience whilst also maintaining a certain level of quality assurance and when it comes to the products, hiring the right people to do the jobs, bringing it together and creating a fantastic brand.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you know what? I think as you were answering, I was thinking your brand, a lot of people, like when you were saying, oh, people want to, you know, wear the dresses you wear. I think a lot of people, although you say you're not sociable, but a lot of people clearly like you. Right? A lot of people clearly like you. So I think sometimes when I was thinking about it as well, they also if they want to buy your stuff, they probably wouldn't meet you.
Yeah.
However, realistically, if we're getting to 10 million business, 100 million business, that's not realistic.
It's not.
If we're being honest. Like, yeah, I know the Chanel founder's not alive anymore, but let's imagine that they was
People
alive.
don't always understand.
You can't just be, oh, let me go meet Louis Vuitton today. Let me go meet, you know, Chanel. Yeah, it would be nice, but bro, we got stores all around the world.
People don't get it.
Yeah,
and it's like,
so I think that's important that people
understand who it is that's managing those departments and making it so that experience is comfortable for the customers to the point that they almost forget that I don't actually need to speak to Gbemi. What value is she adding to this part of the experience? You know? So that's really about, you know, training my staff so that regardless of who you're getting the same level of service. But yeah, literally what you're saying, like, you know, we're making hundreds of dresses for brides a year. I'm one person. Please. And you people want me to design the dress? You want me to design the embroidery? You want me to show up to all the appointments? How do you want me to do it?
We got us try and disassociate the brand from who you as a human being. You as a human being. Yes, you're founder of the brand. Yes, you work within the business, but you're not every part of the business. Like you said, you're not the customer service, you're not the operations, then you have to be the designer, right? Like
and the thing is, I'm happy to be the face. Like I've been from the beginning. This is not, I didn't do like the blind business thing. But again, like you said, it's just about, you know, knowing where you fit in to make it as good as it can be. And then also knowing where you need to get the right people to do the job.
So you got, as I mentioned before, you had Danielle Brooks, right?
Yes.
That's a big celeb, right?
Yeah.
Orange and New Black. Talk to us about the story behind how did that happen?
So we got approached by her team, someone on her team. And then Nicole, who is now our head of ops, at the time was our customer service manager. She was like, oh, so-and-so from Danielle Brooks from Orange is the New Black is getting married and wants us to make her wedding dress. She wants to schedule a call with her manager or her stylist or something. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And then, so we scheduled a call. We've had the call with her. She's obviously speaking about what she wants. She gave me a lot of creative control. I was very like, yeah, you know, she loves our style. She's happy to, you know, for us to take creative control. I was like, okay, I love that. But at the same time, it's like, oh, you give me creative control, this goes wrong. Damn it, it's on my head. But I do like creative control because it allows me to just, you know, no limitations. So did that, speaking to the team, etc. Then eventually, like one day I get a WhatsApp message from someone. Oh, hey, just wanted to like, I felt like it would be better if I just speak to you directly. You know, I really want to be able to get involved in this process. I'm like, who the heck's this? So I was Danielle Brooks. I'm like, Danielle Brooks on my WhatsApp? You joking or what? So I was like, okay. Hi, like, yeah, it's like, can I just FaceTime you real quick? I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. She's FaceTimed me, like, normal. Like, she's in her living room, her daughter's running around. I'm just like, oh, wow, okay, I'm really on the fence with Danielle Brooks, okay. Yeah, like, you know, doing the whole process and everything. She was an absolute pleasure to work with. She was such a lovely woman. We did the twirl, so we make a mock version of the dress first. We sent that over. She fit that. It fit well. Then we made her dress. Then it was like the day before we were going to dispatch it, send it out to America. And then she was like toying. No, she ordered her dress quite late. So I believe she ordered it in December and her wedding was in January. So by the time we had completed it, we were going to be dispatching it like a week before her wedding or days before her wedding. So I think she was a little bit nervous that, oh my gosh, like what if it doesn't arrive, etc. She was going to arrange for somebody to come and pick it up and all of that. Then she was like, can you come? Like, can I come to
America?
To America?
Mad.
I guess. There's me saying I can do things again and not even looking at my schedule. I mean, I was nowhere near as busy as I am these days. But I was just like, okay, I think so. She'll get back to me. She came back to me and she was just like, yeah, I've booked your ticket. I'm just like, oh, okay. So in my head, I'm thinking, so I just need to confirm, am I coming to the wedding? She's like, yay, coming to the wedding. I'm like, damn, I need a dress. I'm like, okay. So anyways, long story short, made a wedding dress, came to the wedding. I think it was during COVID. It was actually during COVID. And I remember getting to the airport And that was when you needed to have like a COVID pass. And I had a whole issue with that in the airport. And then they were like telling me I couldn't fly. And I remember being in the airport and calling the call, like, they're saying I can't fly. Her wedding was like, I think like 3 days away. But the next available flight from that time was what I wouldn't have got there in time.
Oh my God.
And I remember panicking. Like, I have this woman's wedding dress in my hand. Like, she does not have backup. This cannot be happening. What are we talking about right now? Long story short, anyways, I made it onto the flight. Made it to, I think it was Miami or LA.
Wow.
She literally saw her wedding dress for the first time on the morning of her wedding. Fell in love with it. She was like, and I think for her, what made that experience like really special for her and made it special for me as well was she was a black woman, a dark-skinned black woman, right? She was also a plus-size woman. And she really felt like that the process of like getting her wedding dress and just, you know, sorting that out, she found it quite difficult just because, like I said, going to the stores and stuff, she did not find things that complimented her, whether it be her skin color, her body shape, etc. So trying on her dress for the first time on the morning of her wedding and it just fitting her, the illusion blending with her skin, it just like complimenting her so well, and she felt like the process was effortless because she allowed me to just take on complete creative control. It was just like, for her, it was like, wow, like this is possible, like this can happen. So she was just so like, she was crying. Oh, stop crying, you just done your makeup. Like, stop, we're not doing this right now. But she just was so happy. I was so happy. Everybody was so happy. And then obviously that was featured in Vogue. So that was a big deal for us. And I think what made it a bigger deal for the world were the things I've just mentioned. The fact that she was a black woman, a larger size woman. That's not what you're used to seeing. That's just not, let's just be frank, that's not what you're used to seeing going viral like that. So it was like,
that's amazing.
You know, I think it allowed people to resonate with the fact that we're just real human beings, you know? 100. And, you know, this is a real woman. We're all real women and we can all benefit. We all get to have that moment where we can feel like we are the only person in the room and we feel like we look absolutely gorgeous and feel absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I think the fact that that kind of was, you know, had its viral moment, I think a lot of women were just like, I'm her, she's me. Yeah.
What was the impact to Alonuko?
Oh, that was crazy. Our Instagram was blown up. Our followers went up. I can't remember what the percentage that it went up. That it was off the back of that as well. That happened right in the January before we did our tour that I spoke about.
Oh, the American tour. Oh,
yeah.
Wow, okay.
So that was like, even though we had already planned to do the tour and it was already scheduled, that going viral, it was like it brought so much traffic to our page, our brand, that allowed many people who didn't know about us to know about us and then in turn book their appointments. And as a result, allowed us to actually have that that sort of entry into the American market, which has been absolutely phenomenal for Alonuko.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to know, right, what do you feel like you brought to the table as an entrepreneur that's allowed you to have the success that you have? That you've had with Alonuko, and it's been a long journey, coming up to 10 years.
Yeah, it'll be 10 years next
10
year.
years, but to be fair, as an entrepreneur, longer than 10 years because you started your, you know, you started sewing clothes before then. But yeah, what do you feel like you brought to the table? It's like you're dating your business.
What?
I said it's like you're dating your business, right?
I know,
like, what do you bring to the table?
I think like it changes. So I think in the beginning, it was definitely the passion, the excitement, the willingness, the relentlessness, the wanting to really make something of myself and of the vision that I had. I think now it's what's the word that you would use to describe somebody who refuses to give up? Like just... Resilience. Yeah. The resilience. Just always wanting to make sure you hit that goal, hit that target, driving a team. I mean, I have a team of 23 now and it's not a joke. It's not a joke. Like, you know, you have times where you're like, oh my God, this is hard. Like, how are you going to get out of this? And how are you going to figure this out? And And what people forget sometimes is, whilst all of that is happening in your head or on your laptop and you're trying to figure it out, you still have your 23 staff members and you still have all the other responsibilities. Like, it's kind of like being a parent. You can be going through whatever you're going through. You don't get to put parenting on the shelf today.
Yeah.
Like, your child is still your child. They're still going to say, Mummy, Daddy, and you still have to show up for them in the way that you have to show up for them, you know? So I think it's really about, I think now what I would say I bring to the table is I've painted that picture of what this looks like, not just for me, not just for the company, but for our reach, for our audience, for our consumers. And I've promised that we're going to hit these goals and we're going to do this and we're going to make this change. We're going to do that. Like, the biggest promise right now that I've given is saying that we're going to make luxury, affordable luxury for all these women.
Wow.
I've said it now. I'm going to do it. You know?
And you're saying on the podcast again, you're doubling down.
I've made it clear. So it's like, you know, making these things that people can't find. People don't get, like, my staff, like, they have a great time at work. I love them so much. They've got such good, like, relationships. It's such a vibrant, enjoyable place to work. And, like, you know, even that, like, looking at them and knowing that they enjoy what they do, they enjoy their colleagues, they enjoy their place of work. That's a promise. Like, I've created that environment. We've created that environment, and I aim to keep that going. Like, I don't want a workplace where it's uncomfortable. People don't want to come to work, or they feel like this, or they feel like that. It's a lovely place, so cultured, so great. Our customers, you know, we made a promise, like, this is what we're going to deliver. Yeah. Living up to that. Like, I say I'm going to do this, we're going to do it. And so I think it's just that resilience that it's like, we say we're going to deliver this. We say we're going to do this. This is our goal. There's the financial aspect, of course, in terms of hitting goals and targets, but there's also the delivering these products, you know. The two go hand in hand. You don't make that money unless you deliver these goods and these products. So it's really about staying true to the word, staying true to my word, and delivering in the areas that we say we will, and just being headstrong about it. Like, you really have to chat rubbish to yourself in your head. You really have to. Like, you have to gas yourself to the point that it's like, do I even believe what I'm saying? Well, because
like, to just get you self up really and to be like for the day, because like what you said about the
things can be looking that's not making sense. I gotta make it make sense. It has to make sense. It just has to make sense. You gotta figure it out. Like, I always say, I'm going to write a book one day. Some of the things I'm going to write, people are going to think I'm chatting rubbish, because some of the things that we've experienced, it's not a joke, but resilience and really, really just that headstrong mentality.
Love that.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of the biggest challenges, right, that you've had to overcome that was quite tough for you to be like, oh man, I don't know how I'm getting around this? It sounds like you've had a few.
Yeah, it's been a few. Let's think about the one that's appropriate for the camera. One of the biggest challenges, a single challenge. Do you know what? I'll say this one. This one was more like emotional for me, I guess, because I just felt like an overwhelming amount of responsibility. It was the transition from when we were moving from our previous studio to the current studio that we have now. And basically, so we had got the studio. We were in the process of like signing the contract and everything. We were outgrowing our previous space. I think at that time I had maybe about 10 staff, but bear in mind that when I first came to that studio, there was 3 of us, and it was a good size space for 3 of us. Now we've got 10 or 11 staff. So you can just imagine how tight it was. And my staff had voiced that, it's like getting really small in here, Gbemi. And I was like, that's fine. You know, I'm viewing studios, etc., etc. Found a space. Cost-wise, it was like, it's possible, but we're going to have to really hit them goals because, you know, it's a big jump from where we were at the time, all of that. But anyways, I'd got the space. I hadn't got the space. I had got it, but not on paper yet. And it was just really, really taking long. And my staff were politely complaining. My staff are very respectful. They were politely complaining that one of them, he actually, he suggested that, would it be better, he's a pattern car, would it be better if instead of me coming into the studio and using studio space, I can go and work in a basketball court so that he can do the patterns, because they're big. Do the patterns outside in the basketball court whilst you're working in here, whilst everybody else is working in here. And I was just like, yeah, sure, like do whatever you need to do, right? Like we need to get the job done. But if that allows us to have space in the studio, then do it, kind of thing. Some of my other staff would be like, do you want me to work at home so that, you know, there's enough space in the studio? And it's like, this is all happening. And I'm just trying to get the studio space, like, oh, the landlord's just being difficult, being long, like everything's just being long. And I'm just like, why is everything taking so long? Like, you know, we've provided everything that we needed to provide for this to get moving. And it's just taking so long. Okay, finally we got it. Oh, thank God. Then obviously we got like a open plan space that we needed to basically do up. So we got the space designed. My sister, Mako, she is an interior designer. So she did up the design, absolutely amazing design. We got the builders in to start the work. They started doing the work. They said that it was going to take 6 weeks.
Oh my God.
No, 6 weeks would have been fantastic.
Okay, 6 weeks.
Anybody that knows or have worked with builders before knows that, yeah.
That ain't true.
That 6 weeks turned into 3 months, which turned into 4 months, which was just... So basically, the pressure for me, and this the thing is, if I'm honest with you, this is not the biggest struggle that I've had, right? But it's one that I felt was very a big deal to me at the time. Every day for 4 to 5 months, I had to keep reassuring my team, we're moving to this place. They've not seen it. Yeah. I haven't seen it. It's been done. Wow. I've seen it, but it's not done yet. But right now it's being, as in when I say it's being made, as in we're making rooms. It's not, it's an open plan. We're making rooms in here. We're putting down flooring. We're literally doing up the whole space, right? I'm trying to, like, to the point that I'm pretty sure they thought, this girl's capping. There is no space. There's nowhere we're moving to. We are locked into this studio that we were in at that time. I'm trying to reassure them that there is this space. We are moving there. Trust me, we're going. The builders have said, just 1 more month, we're going to be there. Yeah. It really was giving me the story of Moses. Like, when are we going to get to this promised land that no one can see? But I'm like, they said 1 more month. I'm not going to be there 1 more month. They're like, all right, cool. 1 more month came and went. They said 2 weeks. And I can see it all through them that, like, yeah, it's tight, it's hot. Like, the studio was not making sense. But I'm just trying to reassure them. Meanwhile, we're also trying to get people's dresses done. We need to get everyone's dresses done in time, because trust me, your clients do not give a toss that your studio situation is this, that, or the other, right? I'm trying to figure all of this out, right? Whilst at the same time, run the business. I still need to do the strategy side and design people's dresses. Like, I need to get my head in the creative space, do the creative side. I need to do the business side. I need to, you know, and on top of that, my staff are still going to have whatever things they want to come to you about. Someone's going to tell you that, I got to be off because of this, and I got to do, like, everyone has what they've got to deal with. But it's like, I'm trying to do all of that whilst trying to just grow the business. I'm just like, why is everything just against me right now? This is so annoying and so long. But I think for me, I think the hardest part was really just trying to clearly articulate to my team that we're going to move from here. Like, trust me, where we're going is good. Like, you just have to trust me. Please don't leave. Like, no one go. Like, please stay. Just stay with me for now, because we're going. Where we're going, you're going to enjoy it. Where we're going, you're going to have all the space that you want. Everyone's going to have their own sewing machine. We're going to have enough tables for everyone to work. We're going to have a kitchen area where we can eat. We're going to have the layout and the space. It's going to make sense. And I think for me, what was emotional was the fact that they stayed. Everybody stayed. Everybody
believed in it.
They waited. They saw it through, and they're all here. And I remember, I've got the video of the day that everyone came into the new studio for the first time, and everyone walks in and it's like, wow. Everyone's like, wow. They're like, this is amazing. And I'm just like, it was really like, I was just like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you guys actually like waited to see it come through and believed that it was actually gonna come through, because it was long. To tell somebody to wait 5 months when you told them it was gonna be 1 month. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's places people are giving out jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to, but I think, like, you know, I mean, I speak to my staff, and I think some of them are like, you know, like, they enjoy it here, like, you know, and that's why for me as well, it like really is so important for me to, obviously for our customers and our clients to be happy with us, but my team are everything to me. Like, it's so important that they enjoy work, that they are happy there, that their needs are met, and they feel fulfilled at work. Like, I feel like it's important that the people who are ultimately delivering the things that make you fulfilled as a consumer are also fulfilled, because you see it. Like, you see the love that goes. It's like when people cook. Someone that's pissed off and is cooking for you, that food is not going to taste too fantastic.
Exactly.
But if it's like they're loving you and they're making that thing, you're going to enjoy that thing. So yeah, it was difficult. It was a very difficult period because I too was beginning to think, is this thing even going to happen? Like, and even when I'm not believing, I'm having to tell you people that it's still going to happen. And, you know, but in the end, when all was said and done and it worked out, it was like very worth it.
Yeah, you had to have a lot of self-belief, it sounds like, right? A
lot of it.
Talk about self-belief. What's the vision for Alonuko? How do you see it evolving?
Oh,
you don't have to tell us the whole thing, but you can tell us a bit of it.
So the evening wear is a big part. The bridal wear is a big part. We have some other products and revenue streams that we will be releasing in due course. But I'll speak about the evening wear a little bit because that's probably one of the areas that we have been working on quite a lot. Alonuko started from evening wear. Yeah. In the sense that, like I said, we were making Ankara, making clothes for myself, and that's where it really began before it went into bridal, and we really focused our energies and efforts there. And I always say, like, when I make my dresses, so I don't make the dresses in Alonuko anymore, but I still make my clothes because I enjoy it. It's quite therapeutic when I'm in the studio by myself and I can just make my dress. No, it's nice. And then when I like wear my dresses and I turn up to wherever it is I'm going, when I get dressed, like, it's so funny because I'm the person who made the dress, right? And I try it on whilst I'm making it just so I can make sure the fit's fine and stuff. When it's finally done, I try it on, I got my heels on, I got my makeup, etc. Like, I always have this moment when I made it, I'm like, oh my gosh, is that me? Like, oh my gosh, like, this is so exciting. And it's like, you would think after 10 years of making your own dresses, right, you'll get used to it. Like, no, I'm excited. Like, I'm like, yeah, I look nice. Damn, do you see that corset? So I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. And then when I get to wherever I'm going and people are like, oh my gosh, love your dress. Where did you get? Well, nowadays, because most people know about the brand, they'll be like, Alonuko, right? I'm like, yeah, unreleased. But, and then you post it on socials and then people are like, oh my gosh, love it, love it. Like, I'm going to be so honest with you. I think I look phenomenal in the Alonuko dresses. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think this looks great. There's nothing else that I can imagine wearing right now. And that feeling, when I see all these people DMing me and writing under my post, like, come on, Gbemi, like, when do we get this? Like, I genuinely feel bad for you. I'm not even going to lie, because the feeling that you get in it is, you got to wear it to know. Like, the feeling that you get in an Alonuko gown it's just good. It's just so nice. Like, you feel so confident. You just feel like, I'm that woman. No one can tell me nothing. Everything just looks good. And I genuinely want people to feel that. Like, I want you to get dressed and feel like, damn, like, all your worries, trust me, the power of looking good is a thing. Like, it is a thing. Like, when you get dressed and you're stressed, but you don't remember your stress until you take off that thing. If you, like, keep it on and your stress will not return. But my thing is, that feeling is too good. So I really enjoy that, and I want people, and also our brides who have been women that have been Alonuko brides, they would tell you how they feel, right? So it's so, if I could reach like X amount of women to deliver that experience and allow them to feel that, it's like, at that point I can then say, okay, part of my assignment is complete. Okay. Right? I hear it. So it's like, I'm like, okay, cool. If we touch like just under 200 people a year by delivering them these products, it's like, okay, so why can't we touch 2,000? Why can't we touch 20,000, a million, 2 million? Like, it's possible because brands are doing it. Yeah. So for me, I'm aware that not every woman is going to spend 5, 10, 15, 20K on their wedding dress. Like, we know what we deliver when it comes to wedding dresses. We don't try to compete with with brands that are selling wedding dresses for 1K. We know what we do when it comes to our wedding dresses. We go all the way. We go hard, we go ham. It's like we're using the best quality fabrics, the best embroidery methods, the best production methods to deliver the best. So therefore it comes with a price point. With our evening dresses, we were like, okay, how do we do this? Like, how do we do it at this scale, at this level when it comes to quality, but somehow keep the cost at a price point that is still affordable? Because what we can't afford to do is even tamper with our quality and what we deliver, because we were known for that, brand, right? So that's why it took us so long to get here, because I just couldn't figure out how to do it. I'm going to be honest. I couldn't figure out, like, in order for it to work, we have to do it this way. And I couldn't figure it out. So it took us time, still working on improving the process and everything. But it was like, okay, we can finally do it. Like, we know the things that we need to adjust and change and add and take away, etc., to still deliver you these goods at the price point that is, again, I didn't say it's going to be the cheapest, but it's going to be a price point that those can afford. People can afford. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about that for what it's going to do revenue wise for the company, and also what it's going to do for our reach and our customers and our community. And then in the bridal space, again, we've worked on refining our model. We've worked on how it is that we will be able to leverage from what we already have happening, but expand our reach into globally, expand our reach within the UK. Again, without tampering with what we're known for, which is quality luxury products. And then also introduce other product lines that we feel we'll be able to. So those are the main things that we are working on to reach our 10 million goal. We've obviously got our refresh platform, which is our approach to sustainability, where women are able to resell their Alonuko wedding dresses to brides who are getting married. And if you think about it, wedding dresses are worn once. So the wedding dresses that we've received back from brides who are reselling it, they're in literally like you wouldn't know they've been worn. But obviously we have to tell you it's been worn, right? So it's like, brides who want to be able to buy an Alonuko dress at a fraction of that price can do that. And a bunch of other things that we have happening. So those are some of the areas that we are focusing on. Those are 3 main areas that we're focusing on over the next couple of years in our aim to reach that 10 million goal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look, this was an epic conversation. We got to have a part 2 because there's a lot more questions that I'll have. And I want to see what the comments are saying and what questions people have for you.
Oh gosh.
But the passion, I can see the passion coming through. Honestly, listening to this, I'm like, you're so passionate about what you do. You really want to make a difference. You're so hardworking. I even had a question about work-life balance, but I think everybody can kind of surmise that the work-life balance don't exist.
No, it exists.
What?
It exists now.
Oh, it exists now?
Now.
Okay,
I've changed. In my
but before it wasn't.
It exists now. I don't work on weekends. That's really
okay.
good.
That's good. That is good.
I mean, I don't
still
work
all
weekends.
So I'm not there
Some
yet,
weekends I work, and if I do work on the weekend, I try to keep it to a minimum. That is phenomenal for me.
Okay, fair enough.
Look,
hours a day.
I do sports now.
Yeah, okay.
I never used to be able to do things like that. I'm able to do sports.
Okay, so we've been improved. Okay, that's
I mean, is it equivalent to someone who works a 9 to 5? No. But this is the life you choose when you decide to be a founder or an entrepreneur. So hey, this is the life you choose.
Honestly, no, I definitely want to have another conversation with you. I'm really so amazed by your journey and what you've achieved. You've achieved so much in such a short amount of time. And I think it was your calling, clearly, right?
Yeah.
From listening to your story, this is your calling. So where can people find you if they want to check out your new stuff?
How about that? No, I'm joking. You can find us on socials, Alonuko, quite simply. For our bridal, that's Alonuko_bridal. And our website, www.alonuko.com or .co.uk for the UK. And my personals is just my name, Gbemi Okunlola, with a G in the front, silent G.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gbemi. Like I said, what an inspirational story. I don't know if you realize that it was inspiring. It was an inspiring story and how hard you've worked and how far you've kind of come. But you've done a lot, so you should be proud of yourself. So I hope that you've toasted to yourself and that you've, you're kind of giving yourself a pat on the back, because it's not easy to start a luxury, especially luxury. A lot of people want to do luxury. It's not easy to start that from the ground up on your own and get it to a place where it's, where it's now, it's like the leader in its area. So, do you have any final words for, the watchers and listeners?
I think the one thing I would say is, I think what's kept me is really believing in myself, but also just hard work. It's not simple. It's not simple. It's a lot of work, but I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of hard work that goes into it. And hard work is not always defined by the amount of hours that you work in a day. It's defined by the quality of those hours that you work in a day. And I think another thing is always to understand that when you start off, like if it's just about chasing the money, some businesses they're like that, and your money's made really, really quickly. But oftentimes, most entrepreneurs will tell you that, trust me, the reward does not align with the reaping to begin with. So really, really, if you're passionate about something, go for it. If you have it in you to keep running that race, keep running that race. Don't give up unless it's like, it's not making sense. I also believe that sometimes, you might need to drop things because it doesn't work. But I think really, really try and apply yourself where you can. Believe in yourself, do the research, do the work that is needed to get there. In the end, it will make sense.
Thank you so much, Faye. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast, and we'll see you next week's episode.